to the all-new Big Fat Quiz of the 80s. The 80s taught me three things. One, that fame costs. And right here was where I started paying. Two, that Bird's Eye Potato waffles were waffly versatile. And three, the product responsible for 80% of the Congo's GDP was umbongo. Tonight, the only way I could feel more 80s is if I stuck on some Sade, popped on my leg warmers and regained my virginity. It could also work for the 90s. On that cheery note, let's meet our teams. First up, they're the Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan of comedy, but with the added frisson that they're actually sleeping together. It's David Mitchell and Phil Jupitus. She's as cool as a Mr. Freeze ice pop. He's as bubbly as a soda stream. If you're not getting these 80s references, it's going to be a long night. It's Sarah Greene and Alan Carr. And sat next to each other, it looks like the ultimate test of the theory that eventually good neighbours become good friends. It's Jason Donovan and Jack D. Before we get started, let's have a look at you in the 80s. Let's kick off with Phil. Let's have a look at you back in the 80s. What was going on there?
That was me outside the Hammersmith Odeon.
Well, of course it was you.
I was supporting the Style Council, and Weller, bless him, got my name put up outside.
Porky?
Porky the poet, yeah.
Was that you?
That was me, yeah.
Wow.
Oh. Back then.
Hasn't changed.
Jack, let's have a look at you in the 80s. What were you doing in the 80s?
What did
you do for a living back
breathing,
in the 80s?
eating. I was trying to buy a jacket like the one Phil's wearing. I was a waiter for a long time. Don't stare at me. I'm answering your questions.
Imagine you'd be an incredible waiter. You'd be, I mean, because they work with
I was a really good waiter.
Yeah, sure, because you're very friendly.
Yeah.
That sense of bonhomie.
Yeah.
And welcoming.
Yeah. It's off. You can't have that today. People like that. You like a direct approach. Can I have the chicken? No, you can't. I've already said it's off.
No, the opposite of the happy eater, the grumpy fucker. David, let's have a look at you in the 80s.
You actually look like me. You look like me. You are related. What? Did people throw those stones at you because you look so weird?
Well, let's have a look and see how similar to Alan you look in the 80s.
Oh. You didn't know I was Oriental, did you? I didn't mention that on Who Do You Think You Are?
Jason, the 80s. Let's have a look at you in the 80s.
Oh.
She's lovely.
She is hot, isn't she?
Well, that's definitely me. Acid-washed jeans. Acid-washed expression. Yes.
Nice.
But a lot more hair.
And that was back in the Neighbours days, wasn't it?
That was...
What happened to the butch girl that worked in the garage?
Jeez, who knows?
Now, Sarah, you used to present Blue Peter.
No, I'm dreading this
in the 80s.
now.
Look at that.
You want to see a mullet? There it is. Look at that.
Pretty good, though. So you presented Blue Peter in the 80s?
Blue Peter was only, like, 3 seasons and then going live.
Yeah, let's have a look at you in action.
Really?
On going live. Oh, yeah.
No.
OK, Elliot, what's your question?
I'd like to ask 5-star where they're so fucking crap, they're fucking
Thanks very much, Elliot. Nice to hear from you. I'm sure Tammy would have made a lot more sense. Let's move on to line 3.
Sorry about that. I've been drinking.
I think that looks like Michael McIntyre in the back there.
You're right.
Oh, my God.
That is Michael. No, that is Michael McIntyre.
Is
it? His yes, because his mum worked. She knew someone who worked on this, so that is Michael McIntyre.
Is that the most random thing we could have found?
That's weird. Is that David Mitchell sitting next to him?
I had a good 80s. This is how I started the 80s. This is me, I think, in 1980.
I thought you were still being built in the laboratory.
Well, that's how the 80s started. This is how they finished.
You look like everyone's first girlfriend.
Right. We kick off the quiz with a round about what hit the headlines in the 80s. The miners went on strike in 1984. The government considered banning unions, but decided it would only drive the miners underground. Hang on, isn't that exactly where you want your miners to be? The SAS raid on the Iranian embassy was broadcast live to millions, many of whom were thinking, bloody hell, they've really upped the ante on the krypton factor this year. OK, well, it wouldn't be a quiz without questions, so eyes down for the first round. OK, all about the headlines. First question. In 1988, egg sales plummeted and the British Egg Council took legal action against the government. Why?
OK.
The British Egg Council, they're next door to Lambeth Council.
Put it in.
Very bright, OK. And for our next question, it's over to the High Priestess of Punk, the one and only Toyah Wilcox.
Hi, Jimmy. Now, I popped up everywhere in the 1980s, but it was nothing compared to the infamous Michael Fagan. In 1982, he was discovered in a rather unusual location. But can you tell me where?
It's Toyah Wilcox there, asking where was Michael Fagan found in 1982. It's a bit of a mystery. Do you ever look at Toyah Wilcox in her prime? Let's have a look at her back in the 80s. She looks better now, doesn't she?
You see how understated I was now?
Yes.
How subtle my approach to hair was
you
in
were
those
very
days
subtle.
when you look at these girls.
She looks a bit like Snarf from Thundercats. Do you remember?
She so
I
does.
do remember that.
Just saying.
In 1981, the first ever London Marathon took place, but what was unusual about who won?
Will they won the London Marathon be acceptable as an answer?
That was
Because
not
that is
unusual.
quite unusual to win the London Marathon.
Especially the first one.
Yeah,
That will not
That's an
suffice as an answer.
it will not.
No.
I've got a mate who runs marathons, and he said the difference between the London Marathon and the New York Marathon is the atmosphere. Because in London, if you're trailing behind and struggling, everyone's going, come on, well done, it's nearly there, well done. If you're behind and struggling in New York, people are going, cocksucker. That's the New York Marathon for you.
Yeah, you're blocking the roads, come on. OK, and for our next question, we go over to the Goldsmith Community Hall in Lewisham, where some local children are putting on a rather unusual play. Can you work out what 80s news story they're doing here?
Look at this amazing old photo! What is it? It's a fish. It's an elephant. Sorry, I made it as a joke in 1934. I think we should go and look for it. You can use this expensive equipment. There's nothing here. I'm cold. I'm tired. What's that? Sorry, I am a seal.
The three with the tartan hats, were they the shepherds?
OK, everyone finished? We've all got answers? OK.
Oh, yeah.
First up, I asked you why egg sales plummeted in 1988.
Because Edwina Curry said there was salmonella in them.
She said on the news, sadly, all the eggs in the world have got salmonella in,
Yeah.
and if you even look at one, you'll die. And as a result, egg sales plummeted.
It's a pretty comprehensive answer. What have you gone for, Sarah?
Well, yeah, we said salmonella. You know, what did you say? You didn't know what salmonella was, did you?
No.
Because you're so young. You thought it was a disco in Hull, didn't you?
So a point for everyone on that. Well done, everyone. OK, Toyah Wilcox asked you what unusual location Michael Fagan was found in 1982. What did you put?
Queen's bedroom.
Queen's bedroom.
Yeah.
Sitting on the end of her bed. But they did have a chat, apparently. They had quite a long chat together.
I heard that she was sort of chatting away, but slightly unnerved, as you would be. And then he said, have you got a cigarette? And she go, well, I'll ring for a footman to get one. And that, if it hadn't been for that, he'd still be there.
Yeah, so he was found in the Queen's bedroom. You all got that as well. You're doing marvellously so far. OK, question number 3. What was unusual about the winner of the first London Marathon? What have you got, Jason?
We've got that he didn't know that he was running a marathon.
He's running backwards.
Are you just chasing a bus?
Well, no one has actually asked him, do you know what you've just done?
What have you gone for, David?
You said it was something more unusual than winning the first London Marathon, which is something that only one person has ever done. So I was looking for something that no one has ever done, which is invented a perpetual motion machine.
Well, you are exactly wrong. You're saying it's something that only one person has done, which it isn't.
Oh, it was a draw.
Ha ha! Yeah, it was a tie.
What have you got?
It was a tie. It was
She said it was a tie, yeah, and I don't believe her. I mean, because how can that happen? Unless they're conjoined twins,
Unless you
I don't know how they can go.
there on the finish line, which I was, at the end of the first London Marathon. I was there.
Of course you were.
I was on the line because I was filming it for a television programme. And I was there, and two people crossed at the same moment.
Thank you.
Alan and Sarah are absolutely
I was
right. It was a
there.
tie. Two guys were holding hands. They'd raced all the way and they held hands as they crossed the finish line. Fun fact, they went on to form 118-118 by the way. Lots of things. OK, all right, well, the next question. Finally, we saw the children of Goldsmith Community Hall performing an unusual school play. What were they acting out? OK, what have you got, Jason, Jack?
The invention of foster care.
What have you got, Sarah, Alan?
The Loch Ness Monster, they were looking for it. Sarah was there.
I know what it is now. I regret our answer. We know what it is now. I know, anyway.
Well, we've just said. I mean, what is it?
Yeah, because I was listening, so I know.
What have you got, David?
Search for the Loch Ness Monster.
You're absolutely right. This was, of course, Operation Deep Scan, the failed mission, it says here, to find the Loch Ness Monster.
That said, this was a big week for Hamish's launch hire.
Wasn't it?
I think the real mission was to up tourism a little bit to Loch Ness. They go, well, we can't promise the weather, but maybe if we say there's a monster?
Well, I think that's wrong-headed, actually. The idea that a monster would improve Scotland, that what it lacks is a monster. I mean, look at Italy. It's a beautiful country. People go to there a lot. It's not for the monsters. It's for the food and the weather.
Well, the food and the weather in Scotland, we can deep fry the rain. They can't say so at the end of all that, Jason and Jack have 2 points, David and Phil have 3 points, Sarah and Alan have 4 points. We're going to take a quick break. See you in 3. Welcome back to the big fat quiz of the 80s. This round is all about the music of the decade. In my teens, I had the whole Duran Duran look. The big hair, the jacket with the rolled-up sleeves and the shoulder pads, and boy, did it work with the ladies. No, it did not. Bands like Guns N' Roses, Poison and Motley Crue came to prominence in the 80s. They were known for their hard drinking, promiscuity, big hair and loudness, like Loose Women, but with guitars. Big hair rock bands were the coolest guys in the 80s. I'd have given my right arm to be in Def Leppard. He would.
That's a joke about music that I get.
OK, right, so questions about music of the 80s. First up, we're going over to one of the decade's biggest stars. It's Kim Wilde.
Hi, Jimmy. Now, I burst onto the charts in the early 1980s, as did George and Andrew, those nice lads from Wham. But in 1985, Wham became the first Western band to do something incredible. What was it?
OK, so Wham did something incredible in 1985. What was it?
Can I play the Joker on this round? Because Jason here...
Pop music of the 80s.
knows his stuff.
You should be getting all these. Come on.
Yeah.
So what do I do now?
You write down the correct answer.
Write the answer.
That'll be the way forward.
What exactly has the photographer done to enrage George so?
He didn't like to be... Well, he still doesn't like to be photographed in certain ways, doesn't he?
Well, he got very annoyed with snappy snaps in Hampstead.
Do you reckon that was a vendetta then?
Yeah, straight in there. OK, next question. Michael Jackson's behaviour became increasingly oddball in the 80s, but what did he attempt to buy in 1987 for $1 million?
Was it the skeletons of all the dead Blue Peter pets?
Oh, you heard.
What does tortoise taste like, Sarah? Tell us.
You didn't gather
You
it on
knew.
it.
Did you kill a tortoise?
I might have done.
What do you mean you might have killed a tortoise? What did
Well,
you do?
one of the items was putting the tortoise in a box for the winter. And I think I might have knocked a hammer through the box a little bit too... No, not really. No, No, but I
You're
did.
sick.
No, I sealed it. I had to seal up and then you put holes in
Yeah,
so
but
it
you
can
didn't put
breathe.
any holes
I
in.
think I forgot to put the holes in. Anyway, so they went to get the tortoise out in the spring, and they lifted up his shell straight through it.
Oh, that's
He's
just... He's
fallen
just...
out of the middle.
Yeah, he's just moved house.
That's what we told him.
Yeah.
Here's your next pop question. The Gap Band had a huge hit in the 80s with Oops Upside Your Head. But what was unusual about the dance that went along with the song?
Oh, I remember this.
He's funny, that guy on the left, isn't he?
I think it's very nice of them to take their accountant to a party.
These pistachios are tax deductible.
You don't have to tell me. Really? And finally, it's over to the Big Fat Quiz newsroom, where Newsround's John Craven has a special bulletin concerning one of the biggest hits of the decade. But which song is he describing? Over to John.
And finally tonight, a Welsh fire brigade is on standby after a homeless woman was found living in a powder keg. Officials responded to reports that she was giving off sparks, prompting an evacuation of the area. The woman, who appeared a little bit nervous and a little bit terrified, urged emergency service workers to turn around and insisted that there was nothing she could do about her unusual medical condition, which she blamed on a coronary defect linked to solar activity. And that's all tonight. See you again, I hope, round about the same time tomorrow night. Until then, goodbye.
OK. Good work.
Yeah, it's good, right?
You have to name the song, do you?
Name the song and the artist, yeah. Do you remember you were a pop star in the 80s?
Yeah.
This should be easy for you.
This question is too easy. I know that because I can answer it.
Right, let's have some answers. Kim Wilde asked you what incredible first Wham chalked up in 1985. What did you put?
Phil says it's Play China, which I'm assuming is a row of teacups with different amounts of water in them. Sarah, Alan?
He drove a car into the Great Wall of China.
I'll give you that. I imagine if you went there, then definitely that occurred.
Yes.
Jason,
China. They were the first pop band to go to China.
What does it say just to the side?
China, they were first.
Oh, yeah, OK. No, I didn't see
We
that.
were just showing our workings. And...
Very good. Yeah, they were the first Western band to tour communist China. Everyone gets a point. Well done, you. OK, next I asked you what Michael Jackson attempted to buy for $1 million. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Silence.
Oh, good answer. So you've got for this?
The Elephant Man's skeleton.
Oh, I thought it was his left testicle. I wasn't there.
Jason, Jack?
Elephant Man.
Well, I can tell you all right. Michael Jackson did attempt to buy the Elephant Man skeleton. The weird thing about that photo of the Elephant Man, I don't know if you see that, but he sort of looks a bit ridiculous. He's got his top button done up and none of the other buttons. Next up, I asked you what was unusual about the dance Oops Upside Your Head by the Gap Band.
I think it was a sort of twerking on the floor, wasn't it?
Twerking?
You've twerked, Sarah?
Of course, Sarah Greene's twerked.
This verb is new to me.
Yes, do you know, I thought it might
What
be.
is to twerk?
It's a Yorkshire verb that means to do a job.
Jason, Jack, you got this as well?
Yeah, on the floor.
Should we have a little look?
Yeah.
Say oops upside your head, say oops upside your head. Say oops upside your head, say oops upside your head. Say oops upside your head, say oops upside.
Can I just say that's the most unhygienic dance ever? Because remember, you sit on the floor, there's like beer mats, fag ash, rats.
Where were you dancing that there were rats?
Covered in shit.
Not at the Lyceum. Not at the Lyceum.
Did you do the dance in the 80s? You're all about that?
No, I wasn't all about that. No, Jimmy, I wasn't all about that. One night I was at the Lyceum Ballroom and people were doing it, so I joined in.
That just sounds like the sort of excuse Slash would give for doing heroin. Everyone else was doing it, so I just thought I'd join it. Is that what you want, Sarah?
People just join in with everything.
Certain things you join in, certain things you wouldn't. You know,
Yeah, that's the
so...
question we always ask ourselves about if we were in Germany during the war. Things you join in, there are certain people who join in and certain people who wouldn't join in.
Yeah, and the question that we asked of the Nazis, of course, was, oops, upside your head. OK, and finally, John Craven reported on a massive 80s hit. Did anyone work out what it was?
We thought it was David Bowie.
Which song? Which song?
Ashes to Ashes. I don't know why.
Sarah, Alan, you've got...
Yeah, we've got Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Yeah.
And you've got...
Pop Mitchell here nailed that one to the mast. Boom.
Wow. Let's have a look at the most 80s of all the videos.
I don't know what to do. I'm always in the dark. Living in a party gang and getting off spark. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Once upon a time I was falling in love. Now I'm only falling apart. Total eclipse of the heart.
So good. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very special treat for you now. One of the biggest stars of the 80s. It's Annika Rice. How are you? Very nice to see you.
Hello.
In a jumpsuit, of course.
I was asked to come like this. I don't usually pop around the shops.
I'd like to think you've been wearing that since 1987.
Sarah is a near neighbour and she often sees me in the
she
supermarket.
runs right past just to make me feel really insecure. She runs past dressed like that and then she's, can I come in for a gin and tonic, darling?
Nice. So in the 80s, you had Treasure Hunt, massive, 8 million viewers.
I know, it was massive. And everywhere I went, even today, someone shouts out, where's your helicopter?
Now, what was the weirdest thing you did? Because you did some amazing stuff.
We had to land on a submarine once.
I think we have footage of this. I mean, now there's health and safety. This would not happen. Have a look at this.
This is different anyway. How can we land there? Keith, this is your biggest moment yet.
Look at that.
Can I get out?
What were they thinking?
Oh, bye-bye.
OK, now, what was the weirdest treasure you were looking for? Because you were always kind of hunting for odd things.
Oh, the end bit was sort of irrelevant because we were mostly just looking for cards which would lead us to the next clue.
Right.
And then at the end there was some sort of random knob you were looking for.
And that's how we know each other.
Yes.
OK, now you've got a question for us.
Oh,
Go
I
on.
have indeed. Right. On Treasure Hunt, I spent all my time either in a helicopter or running around being chased by a camera. But what was my futuristic-sounding job on the show? What was my title? Job title.
Oh, hello.
Kenneth Kendall used to go, Annie, where are you? Where is our...
Where is our...
Sarah's I don't know what's happened to Sarah, but she's gone a bit weird, and I don't like it. Sarah's
I'm
gone
going to
weird.
change that quick.
No, don't change it.
What are you doing now?
Sarah, you're barking up the wrong tree there, love.
No, really?
Hate to disappoint you. Let's have a look and see what Sarah put. So, Sarah and Alan, you've gone for...
I didn't go for it.
I wrote
She went for it.
She went not searcher, then she was like, tongue was hanging out like Miley Cyrus. Going, I looked down and she's drawn an erect penis. You liar.
Call that erect?
It's all gone a bit weird, but I like it.
Uncomfortable.
Jason and Jack, you've gone for...
Question mark was all we could come up with.
We don't know the answer.
Jack?
We don't know the answer, Annika.
It's okay.
Sorry.
David, Phil?
You were Mr. Kendall's Sky Runner.
Phil, that's correct.
Boom.
And David.
Right answer.
Okay, let's take a look and see what that's done to the scores. So David and Phil have 8 points. Sarah and Alan have 8 points, trailing Jason and Jack with 5 points. Time now for another quick break. Annika and I are going to head off to the southwesterly direction for the next clue. See you in a bit.
Which way? OK.
Welcome back to the Big Fat Quiz of the 80s. This round is all about the TV highlights of the decade. Miami Vice popularised the T-shirt under the jacket with the sleeves rolled up look, which was great because it saved you having to talk to someone to tell if they were a wanker or not. Going Live ran for 6 years. It became a ritual. Go to bed at 3 a.m. on a Friday, wake up with a stinking hangover next to a stranger, be sick, and then remember, Going Live's on. Jump in the car, drive across town and present it. You were a trooper, Sarah Greene. OK, time for some 80s TV questions. OK, so for our first question, we go over to Bullseye legend Jim Bowen.
Hi, Jimmy. It's Jim Bowen here. Now, everyone wanted to be on Bullseye because of the fabulous prizes. Where else could you win a luxury holiday, a tease maid and a speedboat? But nobody ever went home empty-handed. What were the 3 prizes that everyone was guaranteed to take home, win or lose?
Jim Bowen, legend. OK, so he wants to know what were the consolation prizes you were always guaranteed on Bullseye?
Oh, I've written actually on the screen. What not?
Case has literally no idea.
No.
Have you ever seen the show? Have you ever seen Bullseye?
Is that when they play darts?
They do play a bit of dance in it, but it's so much more than that. They won a speedboat. It was pretty exciting stuff.
What? How did you win a speedboat? Was that?
Well, just at the end, they just gave you a random gift of a speedboat. and people sort of living on quite rough estates in Doncaster now have speedboats going. We're 40 miles from the sea. Good luck.
That's amazing.
Yeah, bless them. OK, next up, have a look at this picture of a furious telly fan. He smashed up his TV and sent his TV licence back to the BBC. What have they done to make him so angry?
Oh, well done. Yeah.
OK, next up, a very special treat for you. It's over to my favourite double act of the 80s, Bob Carroll G's and Spit the Dog.
Hi, Jimmy. Bob Carroll G is here with Spit the Dog. Now, we love Christmas, don't we? And you probably do too. But not as much as legend David Bowie. In 1982, he released that fantastic single, The Little Drummer Boy. Remember that? You like that, don't you? And a year later, he appeared on Channel 4 wearing a very snazzy scarf. Can you tell us what he was doing?
Is that a...
It's Spit the Dog.
Is it?
Yeah.
It looks like a dingo.
It looks like a dingo.
Yeah.
That's the most Australian thing you've ever said.
As
looks like a
controversial
dingo.
as I am Australian.
Yeah.
There was a very controversial episode of Tiz was when it kidnapped a baby.
And finally, why did Nicholas Witchell sit on a lesbian in 1988?
Yeah.
He's the guy that does the royal correspondence now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. That is the fella.
He was the person that Prince Charles said, I can't bear that man.
Yeah,
About.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that wasn't enough for him to lose that job. He went, no, you can still interview him. Fine. Doesn't seem to like you. Right, I've got some answers for you. All right. So Jim Bowen asked you what consolation prizes everyone took away on Bullseye.
We know.
What do you know?
The blankety-blank checkbook and pen.
The mastermind crystal bowl / orb.
Yeah, and the bendy bully.
Well, one of those is right. The bendy bully is definitely one of them.
Right.
Jason, Jack, what did you get?
Never get asked back, a pencil and something else.
Those are the 3 consolations.
So the consolation prize was you never got asked back. What have you got, Sarah Allen?
You got tankard, bully, and darts. And he said, give me 2 minutes to count this out. Didn't he?
Yeah.
And did that cartoon bully pop in and go, Yeah, he did. It was like CGI.
It was incredible. Let's get the answer from Jim.
So how did you get on then? Well, the 3 consolation prizes were the Bullseye tankard, the Bullseye darts, and super smashing great him.
Well, I guess we're all winners, really.
He played that moment with real poignancy, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's been... I think he's missed giving those prizes away. He's a nice man, enjoyed his job.
Although the niceness of Bullseye was slightly ruined by the fact they showed you the prize whether you won it or not.
Yeah.
It was sadistic. It was almost like that film Saw. You know what I mean?
Do you like games, Jim?
It was a bit like that, wasn't it?
OK, I showed you a picture of a very angry man. Why did he smash his telly?
Well, is it because he was told he has to be Eamon Holmes?
Go on, what have you got?
Cancelled the Wombles.
Cancelled the Wombles?
They cancelled the Wombles. He was furious. Look at him.
OK, Sarah, Alan, you got nothing?
It's got something to do with Doctor Who.
Well, let's go with Jason and Jack's answer.
Doctor Who. Got cancelled.
Yeah.
Cancelled.
Yeah.
That is the right answer.
Remember.
They cancelled Doctor Who. Bob Carroll G's and Spit the Dog asked you why David Bowie turned up on Channel 4's Christmas schedules wearing a snazzy scarf. How did you get on?
He was a snowman, wasn't he?
He introduced it. He introduced the film Snowman, didn't he?
On Channel 4. Well, Sarah, Alan?
Yep, that's what we got.
OK, well, you said he was introducing the snowman. Shall we have a look?
Yeah.
Go on, then.
Let's have a look.
One winter, me and Nicky Pop made a snowman out of cocaine.
See, I don't remember that, but then...
After the weekend, he was all gone. He'd melted in our septums.
So a point for everyone on that. Well done, everyone. OK, I asked you why Nicholas Witchell was sat on a lesbian. What did you know?
Some ladies decided to attack the news.
Yeah, they broke into the newsroom. The ladies did.
OK, broke into the news, everyone. And Sarah and Alan?
Yeah, a lesbian protest against Section 28.
Oh, the detail.
Ooh. She was there. You were there.
Might have been.
Well, let's have a look. Let's see.
The 6 o'clock news from the BBC with Sue Lawley and Nicholas Witchell.
Good evening. The headlines at 6 o'clock. In the House of Lords, a vote is taking place now on a challenge to the poll tax. And I do apologise if you're hearing quite a lot of noise in this studio at the moment. I'm afraid that we have rather been invaded by some people who we hope to be removing very shortly. In the meantime, if you can possibly ignore the background news, we'll bring the news as best we can.
Background news.
See, I think I stayed a bit calmer when that whole wanker thing happened with 5 Star. She got a bit sort of flustered there. I'd have invited them on and said, come in, girls, let's talk about what you want to discuss and make it part of the show.
I think she was worried because she had that hair and she felt she would be... The police might get rid of her as well when they came together. When they came... There's a bunch of lesbians in here, can you get rid of them, security? They would have taken her, so she was nervous. OK, time for a special bonus round about movies. I'm going to show you pictures from 3 of my favourite 80s movies that have been subtly improved. Here is the first one. You've just got to write down what the film is.
Oh, right.
OK. OK. Here's the next film. And you might want to just enjoy the last couple of moments of not having your sexuality questioned before you look at this. Yeah, you're welcome.
Drop the bitch and make the switch.
Yeah. I bet there's some lesbians who'd like to invade that.
OK, pens down. What have you got for the 3 movies of the 80s? OK,
Well,
the first, Sarah?
Well, bit of
First one?
dissension in the ranks here. I
Go on.
said Star Wars C-3PO, that was you.
OK, Jason, Jack, what did you say for
I
the
got
first
the
one?
wrong one.
Terminator.
Well, we thought it was Terminator.
David and Phil?
I thought it was Terminator, but Phil said it wasn't. It was
I
Robocop.
thought it was Robocop.
Probably is, actually.
Well, let's have a look.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
Peter
Robocop.
Weller.
Yeah, Peter Weller. God, you've got good pop trivia knowledge. OK, next movie. I think you would have got this one.
I don't know.
That's really weird. You turned into Billy Crystal.
OK, what have you got for that? You've all got...
Annie. Yeah, Annie.
So you got Annie as well, yes?
Definitely.
OK, so the last one, what did you vote for this, Jason, Jack?
Dirty Dancing, isn't it? Is that what it's called?
No. That is not Dirty Dancing. That is... What is it?
Flashdance.
Flash.
Dirty Dance.
Yeah.
Did you think it was called that? Well, why don't you say something? You're sitting like...
So you knew the answer, Jason, but you didn't bother telling Chad.
Yeah.
There's a lack of teamwork going on there.
Story of my life.
Yeah.
It was, of course, Flashdance about a female welder. Let's have a look and see what that did to the scores. I can tell you in last place currently, Jason and Jack with 9 points. Joint lead, David and Phil, Sarah and Alan with 13 each. Time for a quick break. We're going to enjoy some snacks from the 80s. Anyone want a cola cube? We'll see you in a few. Welcome back to the Big Fat Quiz of the 80s. This next round is all about lifestyle, the fads, fashions, technologies and toys of the 80s. My Little Ponies were the most popular girls' toys of the early 80s. They came with accessories like hairbrushes, saddles and a tiny shotgun in case you broke it and had to put it out of its misery. Britain's first ever mobile phone call was made in 1985. It was from a salesman asking if you'd like to buy some payment protection insurance. VHS beat Betamax in the video wars of the 80s. For any youngsters watching, a VHS video was like Netflix, but instead of clicking a button, you got to walk to the shops. And instead of the film instantly playing, the machine ate it and you had to rewind it with a pencil. And instead of seeing the end of E.T., you got to watch the snooker because someone had taped over it. Better, really. But let's remind ourselves of how we lived in the 80s.
Market is being expanded, hence the development of the portable VCR.
Thanks, lads. That was a tremendous display. I'm in the centre of London at the moment, near Hyde Park. I'm on my Vodafone.
In the event of a nuclear war, where will you be?
Oh, my goodness me.
Were you there, Sam?
Oh, I was behind the camera going, keep asking her, make her answer, make her answer, make her answer. And the little girl just kept on saying, where would you be? In the event of a nuclear disaster, where would you be? And she was trying to say, but there never would be one, there never would be one. And the little girl just and she said, yes, I would be in the bunker. That's right where I'd be. And that became a bit of a news story.
I'd love it if the person went, why are you so fucking shit?
First up, have a look at this clip. What 80s trend is this man talking about?
I see these little 10-year-old kids doing it, and I get really frustrated and want to break their wrist or something. But I'll probably go up and re-register and try it one more time.
OK. So, when he saw teenagers doing it, he wanted to break their wrists. What was he talking about?
I think the teenagers can break their own wrists, Jim.
Yeah, you get carried away, kids. You be careful. Take a break. And remember to rehydrate. Next up, time for another guest question. It's to Pow's Carol Decker.
Oh, Carol Decker.
Yay.
Hi, Jimmy. Everything was big for T'Pow in the 80s. Massive hits, massive choruses, and, of course, massive hair. But in 1984, L'Oreal launched a product that they said would bring about the end of hair gel. What was it?
Put it in.
T'Pow, fond of T'Pow? Have you heard of T'Pow, David?
I have heard of T'Pow, yes.
Brilliant.
They did a song called China in Your Hand, didn't they?
Wow, I better watch it. I might lose my job.
I mean, this is incredible pop knowledge from you, David. Next question. Andrew Lloyd Webber went from strength to strength in the 1980s, but how was he responsible for seriously injuring 21 people?
Such a good-looking man.
OK, have you got something for this, Jack?
Yeah, we've got an answer.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, OK.
It's a good one.
And finally, let's go over to the two real stars of Going Live, Trevor and Simon.
Yes. Too right.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy. Trevor and Simon here.
From the 80s.
We've got a question about one of the 1980s most tragic icons.
Pat Sharp.
No, Pac-Man.
Oh, no, sorry, yes, Pac-Man, who spent his entire life trapped in a hellish maze with only a diet of Pac dots and power pellets to sustain him.
Oh, the poor blighter.
Oh, the poor blighter. To make things even more hellish for him, he was tormented by 4 ghosts.
Goats?
No, ghosts.
Oh, ghosts. Yes. But can the teams name them?
Look at Phil Jupitus' face, as finally it's paid off.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
Don't
Of course
tell
he
me, but
does.
you know.
Look at him. He was born for this quiz. Jack, any idea at all?
You'll find out in a minute, Jimmy. We've written the answers on our pad.
All right. OK. I asked you what 80s trend this man was talking about. Did you know?
Was it the Rubik Cube?
Sarah and Alan?
You've got to hope so, haven't you?
Rubik's.
Yeah.
Jason, Jack?
It's got to be.
We think so as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. All of you.
Yeah.
Well done. Could anyone do it?
Yes.
Yes.
How quickly could you do it?
Well, I used to take it apart. And then all right,
Just take the stickers off. Yeah. So, and then just stick them all on. See?
I couldn't do it because I had friends.
David, could you do it?
I couldn't do it despite not having friends.
OK, next up, Carol Decker asked you what revolutionary product was going to bring the end of hair gel. What did you put?
Mousse. Was it the mousse?
We put mousse.
Hair mousse?
Mousse? Sarah, did you mousse?
I moussed, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we saw your hair earlier.
Yeah.
Something was going on.
Can't make that happen. Sad. Yes, there's something about Sarah.
Sure. Okay.
Something about Mary.
Button there, darling. Yep, yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's weird because Sarah almost said exactly the same thing. But... oh, adorable. OK. OK, I asked you, how was Andrew Lloyd Webber responsible for seriously injuring 21 people? Did you get it?
I said that he dropped a chandelier on their heads in Phantom of the Opera.
I think that's what actually happens in the play.
No, on the audience and injured them, which I don't think is meant to happen.
OK. Jack, Jason, what have you got?
We think that people went to see Cats and started to pretend to be cats. There was some performances were better than others, and people got into a frenzy.
Scrap.
And would start doing this. Scratching. Try to be cats, and they never helped themselves. And actually, on one occasion, 21 people who went to see Cats did hurt themselves on the upholstery.
What have you got?
Starlight Express, we think, his cast members were falling off of things in the Victoria Palace Theatre.
Some sort of pretend train on the stage injured an actor.
Which went
21 actors.
out and round the, you know...
It's exactly the right answer.
No.
Yes, 21 actors were injured in the production of Starlight Express. You remember the play. Everyone was on roller skates.
Yeah.
All right, so Trevor and Simon asked you, what were the names of the ghosts that followed Pac-Man? Jason, Jack, what did you put?
We don't know.
No idea.
What have you got there, Alan?
Who gives a shit?
Phil, David.
OK, the leader was Blinky, right? Then the pink one was Pinky, the blue one was Inky, and then the orange one was the most stupid ghost, was Clyde.
100% right, Phil Jupitus.
I can tell what sort of childhood you had.
Get a life.
Christ.
Get a life.
In addition to the Pac-Man, there was a lot of masturbating, all right? It was a full life. And fishing down the Warren.
Fishing down the Warren? That definitely sounds like a euphemism.
Really, genuinely, there was some fishing lakes.
Stop fishing down the Warren up there, Phil.
Did your mum ever walk in on you fishing down the Warren?
No, but for some reason my old man took a photo of me one morning, came into the bedroom, and I was in the middle, and I thankfully heard him just outside the door and stopped. But I've seen this photo in the family album of me, startled. It's a very special face, I'm telling you. Wow. Although that's not as good as the story I heard about the bloke who used to wank with his headphones on, bashing away, and then he finished, when he woke, and there's a cup of tea next to the bed.
All right, time for a quick bonus round, all about famous ads from the 80s. I'm going to say a famous line from a TV commercial from the 80s. All you have to do is write down what that ad was for. OK? First one. Bet you can't eat 3. OK, so bet you can't eat 3. What have you got? Sarah, Alan?
Oh, no. Bugger. Shredded wheat.
Well, you spelt shredded wheat Weetabix.
I know. I thought it was Weetabix first.
What have you put, Jason?
Weetabix.
We put Weetabix.
Yeah.
Weetabix. So bet you can't eat 3. What do you think?
Some other
Shredded
cereal.
wheat.
He got shredded wheat because you just know it all, don't you?
Someone's not had a nap. Jesus.
See, the thing is, the reason you were working in the media room, I was at home watching you, Sarah, every week. Every Saturday morning, Sarah, watching.
I remember there was one Saturday morning when his dad walked in. OK, well, let's have a look.
With 100% whole wheat nourishment packed into shredded wheat.
Thanks, love.
Who can eat more than 2?
All Right, so you get a point there, David and Phil. The next phrase from a famous advert, OK, try and guess what the product was. I'm going to attempt the accent. Accrington Stanley? Who are they? Exactly.
I'm getting so much spit in my eye.
That isn't spit, Phil, stop it. Lower the tone again. OK, so what was that advert for?
I do know.
Do you know?
I know.
Crack on there! Boom!
Beast.
Ah!
That's good, that's OK.
OK, what have we got?
I reckon it's a cup of tea, is it?
So you've gone...
PG tips.
PG tips, OK. Yeah, Sarah, Alan?
Heinz baked beans.
And you've gone for...
Milk.
Let's have a look.
It was an advert for milk.
Let's have a look.
You don't have to have a look, I know.
Milk! Ugh! It's what Ian Rush drinks. Ian Rush? Yeah, and he said if I didn't drink lots of milk, when I grow up, I'm going to be good enough to play for Accrington Stanley. Accrington Stanley? Who are they? Exactly. Now get off.
Buy some milk. Good, though?
I like that's just an advert for milk.
Milk.
All milk.
That was paid for by
Wherever it comes
cows.
from.
I like the fact they felt they had to advertise milk back then, just in case anyone was, oh, this cereal's a bit dry. What's going on? You ready for your last advert from the 80s? Iconic advert. What was this an advert for? I'm looking for fly fishing by J.R. Hartley.
Ah, yes.
Waterstones.
I actually do remember the advert. I can't remember what it's for, Jimmy.
OK, so Sarah and Alan, you've got...
Yellow pages.
And you've gone for...
Yellow pages.
I couldn't remember what
OK,
it was.
Jack and Jason, you're pretty close.
Soup.
OK, let's have a look.
Oh.
I don't suppose you have a copy of Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley.
No luck, Dad. Never mind. There's still a few more to try.
Good old Yellow Pages. We don't just help with the nasty things in life, like a blocked drain. We're there for the nice things, too. You do? Oh, that's wonderful. Can you keep it for me? My name, oh, yes. It's J.R. Hartley.
What a twist. It was like Shawshank Redemption. It's J.R.
So at the end of all that, Jason and Jack have 11 points. Sarah and Alan have 16 in the lead. David and Phil with 20. Oh! We're going to take a short break, just enough time for a quick game of swing ball. See you in a bit. Anyone again? Come on, Donovan. Oh! Welcome back to the Big Fat Quiz of the 80s. This round is about people, the movers and shakers of the 80s. The decade began with a double tragedy, as John Lennon was shot dead and Mick Hucknall wasn't. Iran issued a fatwa against Salman Rushdie after the publication of the Satanic Verses. Well, Iran, if you think death threats will stop me making jokes about your ridiculous regime, correct. In 1981, tennis star John McEnroe was convinced the ball was in when actually it was out. I had a similar situation this summer. Thank you very much, Speedos. Right, ready for some questions? First, it's over to the Big Fat Quiz's Masterpiece Theatre, where actor Charles Dance is reading from the autobiography of one of the decade's biggest stars. But whose is it?
Chapter 26. Me and Dave got together after I'd spoken to Barry Hearn, who managed Steve Davis, Tony Meo, Terry Griffiths, Dennis Taylor and Willie Thorne. Then a very positive image came to me. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Barry Hearn being Snow White, waiting for the fruits of the workers to be brought home. Hi-ho, and off to work we go. I could then see the Seven Dwarfs going into snooker, loopy, nuts are we, me and him and them and me.
Whose autobiography was he reading from then?
His?
I'm pretty sure you'll all have read it. It's a wonderful work of literature. Next up, what mishap resulted in Labour leader Neil Kinnock saying to reporters, I'm going to have to appeal to your better nature here, lads.
Yeah.
Jason, any idea who Neil Kinnock is?
Yes.
Who?
He is the ex-Labour leader.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Jason Donovan, from the 80s, knows his stuff. OK. Next question. In the 80s, Kevin Casper, Bernie Tavis, Tor Christensen and Terry Lenley found fame impersonating police officers, pretending to have sex with pillows and thrusting their pelvises. But by what name were they better known? Happy memories?
What a night that was.
OK, for our final question in this round, we go a little treat for you. We go over to Blackadder hero, Tony Robinson.
Oh, there's one more.
Hi, Jimmy. Tony Robinson here. In the 80s, I was a star of one of TV's biggest shows. And back then, I was famous, I was wealthy, I was tall, I was very handsome, a bit like the basketball star Michael Jordan. Now, in those days, he had money to burn. But why did he keep getting fined $5,000 every time he played a game of basketball?
OK.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh.
It's only a clue.
Yes. We'll leave it at that, I think, love.
What, you're giving Alan clues?
I guess.
Again, I feel teamwork-wise, this isn't the way to do it. Just tell him if you know.
A bit extra fun.
2 syllables.
It's a different show. OK. Right, you ready for some answers? Of course you are. Charles Dance was reading from the autobiography of one of the decade's biggest stars. Who do you think it was?
We went for Hurricane Higgins, because you know all the snooker.
Yeah.
That's
we
what
went
we
down
put.
the wrong...
You've gone Hurricane Higgins as well?
Yeah, we went Hurricane.
Was he reading from the autobiography of another Charles?
Yes, he was. Go on, what do you think, David Phil?
Prince Charles.
Yes, that was Prince Charles's biography.
I said to Dave, I said to Dave,
What have you got?
Chaz Hodges.
Chaz Hodges.
Of Chaz and Dave.
From Chaz and Dave. Let's go back to Charles Dance and have a look.
That was an extract from All About Us by Chaz out of Chaz and Dave. He's got more rabbit than Sainsbury.
That's an odd line, isn't it? More rabbit than Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Because does Sainsbury's stock a lot of rabbit?
No.
I mean, is it a reference to rabbit as a food?
Game isn't really something
No,
very special.
more bread than Sainsbury's.
For Chaz and Dave to sing, you got more rabbit than Harrods. It doesn't really fit their oeuvre, does it?
Strangely, though, you probably would find more rabbit in Harrods.
Well, absolutely. Or Fortnum and Mason.
And in a pet shop.
Watership Down.
Well, we've covered this. That's fine. That's it. That was from the autobiography of Chaz Hodges from Chaz and Dave. Next up, I asked you, what caused Neil Kinnock to say, I'm going to have to appeal to your better nature here, lads?
He was having a walk along the beach just before the Labour Party conference and he fell over. No?
That's pretty much it. Pretty much it.
What
did you...
Glennon?
Yeah, I mean, he fell over on Brighton Beach.
Jack?
Tripped over.
Beach.
On the beach.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look.
And every now and then a politician says something he'll regret for a lifetime.
Do you want a real stool? Go on then. I'll walk on the water. How about that?
Now that sort of thing is just not supposed to happen. And even as Mr. Kinnock put the best face on things, he was wondering whether, wet feet and all, the cameraman might choose to use those shots that were a little more dignified.
It's going to be an appeal to your better nature now, lad.
And yet the comb over never moved. That strand, that little bit of strand, it didn't move.
That was hair mousse, that was. Highly effective. I asked you what Kevin Casper, Bernie Tavis, Tor Christensen and Terry Lenley were better known as. Sarah, Alan?
Fathers for Justice.
They were caught fucking pillows in the window of...
What, kids?
The only way our message will be heard is if we fuck these pillows. Is that right?
No, that is not. That's not even the right decade, but no, that isn't right. What, Jason?
The Chippendales.
The Chippendales?
Yeah.
OK. And you've gone for?
We went for the Chippendales.
Well, let's have a little look.
No.
glad you said that. That could have got me into trouble. The weird thing was when he had the phone on his crotch there. That's probably in the days before you could send a dick pic, you had to just go, yeah, I'll just put him on now.
I think it'd be nice to get one on the Antiques Roadshow and have it valued.
It's an original Chippendale. Brilliant.
And this is where you would put the phone, usually? No?
And we have the original phone.
I found it in my nan's loft.
OK, so Tony Robertson asked you why Michael Jordan kept getting fined $5,000 when he played basketball.
We didn't know whether it's not for or for wearing his own brand of trainers.
Sponsorship
deal. We should have just put sponsorship deal.
Yeah, you've definitely got the right area there.
Yeah.
OK.
But the wrong answer. Not wearing his Jordan shoes. You couldn't be more wrong than that. David, Phil, what have you got?
He pointed at his shoes when he scored.
I'm afraid not quite. And what have you got, Jason Jack?
Wearing his own gear.
Yeah, wearing his own gear.
It's the right answer. Everyone else wore the team shoes. He wore his own shoes because the night contract was worth a bit more than $5,000 a game. Yeah. So he did very well out of it. Well done, him. Right, time for the part of the show where I introduce a very special mystery guest. All you have to do is guess who they are and how they became famous in the 80s. You can only ask yes or no questions. Ladies and gentlemen, our mystery guest. Hello, mystery guest. Hello, how are you? So they're going to ask you yes or no questions. You were a huge star in the 80s. Everyone knew you. Away you go.
Were you on telly?
No.
Were you in an advert?
No.
You must have been... Yeah. I tell you what.
Well, if you know the answer, you should write it down.
OK, I'll write it down. I don't know... No, I have to do a yes or no thing, you see.
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. It's just yes or no questions, and then...
No, I know. Stop.
On the trade...
I'm not being patronising.
Yes,
I'm being
are.
condescending. There's a real difference.
Oh, no, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. Don't argue semantics with me.
Well, on the trade test transmission car, were you the girl with the blackboard?
No. Would you like to go on a date with me?
He's allowed to... You have to answer yes or no.
You didn't say what the questions were about.
It's yes or no.
Would you like to go on a lovely date with Alan?
No, thanks.
Were you on the cover of an album?
No.
Were you featured on posters and photographs?
Yes.
Were you like a baby child or something?
Was you a baby child?
Write down... Well, I think you've all got a fair idea. I think just write down who you think he is.
OK, right.
OK. Change a little bit. I wouldn't have recognised you straight away.
I get it.
OK.
I get it. Wait there, love, wait there.
You've all got something written down. Let's have a look and see what they put. Let's have a look. Sarah, Alan, what did you put?
Well, Sarah thinks your mum was pregnant and you were a fetus.
She was modelling something in a bit as a pregnant lady and you with a baby inside.
Jack, Jason, what have you got?
Pears soap.
Pears soap, baby. Yeah.
OK, what do you think, David, Phil?
There's that poster that you could always get of the bloke with the torso holding the baby. I think he was the baby.
Mystery guest, who are you?
I was the baby in the Athena poster.
This is Stelios Havatius, the Athena baby.
Oh.
Let's have a look at him in action. You have changed. You've sort of morphed into the bloke from the Athena poster is what you've done. Did you behave during the shoot?
It was OK. I pooed on him twice.
You pooed on him twice?
Yes.
That's a bit specialist. Let's hear it, everyone. Stelios, give him a round of applause. The guy from the Athena poster. Let's have a quick word. Just checking on scores, see what they've done to it. OK. Jason and Jack, you've got 14 points. Sarah and Alan have got 17. David and Phil still in the lead with 24 points. We're going to take a short break. See you in 2. Welcome back to the final part of the Big Fat Quiz of the 80s. This round is all about the scandals that shook the decade. News International paid £600,000 for the rights to Hitler's personal diaries. Jesus, don't they respect anyone's privacy? Ben Johnson won the 100 metres final at the '88 Olympics. Eventually, drug testers caught up with Ben Johnson, which wasn't easy because he was on a lot of steroids and they made him fucking fast. OK, let's have some questions about scandals. Right, first up, it's a say what you see question. I'm going to show you a series of pictures that spell out a name. For example, this spells out Jason Donovan.
Good work, Sam.
Which scandalous 80s trend is hidden here? OK, you've got to be quiet on this because you'll give it away to the others. Phil Jupitus already has it. Bloody good at quizzes. Jason, you got it?
No.
Well, we got
sort of
close. With him with that. Well, sort of.
OK. Next up, have a look at this clip of a rather cross man. What's he protesting about?
Consider the beach is literally within very short walking distance, and I mean short walking distance, of the Volks Electric Railway, where they actually come up and stand beside the railway. It's close to the Brighton Marina and not very far from the Peter Pan's playground. And also, would you believe it, almost on the doorstep of where the new theme park is going.
What's he upset about?
Do you want us to tell us? Tell you now?
You don't want
Oh, no, don't tell me now. Write that down, yeah, perfect.
Well, don't ask us now, then.
Yeah. Sorry, Jack.
No, see, Jack, how it works is he asks the question, and then you have to write it down, but you don't actually say what it is.
What would be clearer if Jimmy, who has done an otherwise excellent job, if Jimmy would say, please write down what he's complaining about. Because in the heat of the moment, any one of us could blurt out the answer.
No.
And that way,
you know the rules, you don't.
Yeah. In the heat of the moment, Jack.
Yeah.
Yes. When you ever...
In the excitement.
When's your moment ever seen
I'm close now. I'm in a state of high excitement.
Sure.
Anything could happen.
OK. Next question. What 80s mystery caused the Irish police to turn to clairvoyants, diviners and psychics? OK. I'm slightly worried about asking because I'm worried Jason might blurt out the answer. He clearly knows this one as well.
Yeah.
And finally, we go over to the host of the most iconic shows of the decade. It's Gordon Burns from The Krypton Factor.
Whoa. Hello, Jimmy. My question on the 80s is this. Was, of course, the era of the home video. Do you remember those things called video shops? Well, what controversy caused the police to seize thousands of tapes from video shops right across the country in the early 80s?
I used to find The Krypton Factor quite stressful to watch.
I'll give you that,
I mean?
yeah.
Like, most quiz shows on television in the 80s were quite sort of jolly, you know, 3, 2, 1, the generation game. And The Krypton Factor, it was sort of like it was work, like it mattered.
You took yourself very seriously.
I found that very stressful and unnecessary.
You found it stressful? Imagine how stressful Superman found watching it.
It's very offensive to Superman, wasn't it?
OK, you've all got something?
Yeah.
Let's get some answers. OK, so first up, I asked you to say what you saw. Did you get this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Acid house party.
OK, David, Phil?
Acid house party.
That's it. Acid house party.
Acid house party is it? Acid. Were you there for Acid House?
Oh, yeah, lived through the whole thing.
Remember any of it?
Nothing. Absolutely. Loved every second of it, though. No, I didn't do any Acid House.
You know what they say, if you can remember the 80s, well done.
Yeah. Well done, you stand a chance of winning this quiz.
You might win a quiz.
OK, next up, we saw a clip of a rather angry man. What was he objecting to?
The first nudist beach.
I've actually been on that nudist beach, yeah. Not being a nudist, but I had to look after my 2 godkids, and I didn't know it was a nudist beach. And then when you're looking after a kid, that's the last words you want to hear them say. Oh, look at that man's willy.
Look at that wooden groin.
Wooden groin?
They're the things, aren't they? The groins are like the fences going out to sea to stop Brits interfering, yeah.
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yes!
Sarah was doing a very clever joke that you failed to get.
Sorry.
It was a double entendre, Alan.
Yeah. I would have thought if anyone was going to know about double entendres, it would be you, Alan. You're an expert.
I'm trying to think
That's
who I know.
Come on, Alan, it isn't hard.
I can't, I'm a shit gay. I'm retiring. Bye.
Next up, I asked you what mystery caused the Irish police to turn to clairvoyants, diviners and psychics. What did you put?
Crying.
When I was in Ireland during the 80s, a lot of effort was being put into finding the source of this crying Virgin Mary. And it was a big deal at the time. I mean, others might have different answers, but I was there, so...
You could not be more wrong. Sarah, what have you got?
We think it was all about Shergar.
And David, Phil?
Yeah, we do as well. Shergar.
Well, you're absolutely right. It was the disappearance of Shergar.
Yes.
Called in the clairvoyance.
And Shergar, spelt backwards, is No, it's not.
And finally, Gordon Burns asked you why police up and down the country seize thousands of videotapes. Did you know? Sarah, Alan?
Well, Sarah said it was porn.
They thought they were watching Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, he was a beast.
And it was a different sort of Beauty and the Beast by mistake.
Right.
Yes.
No. OK, Jason, what did you get for this?
Video nasties.
Video nasties and David,
Video
Phil?
nasties.
Video nasties.
Why were they called video nasties?
Because they had titles like this. There you go, there's Cannibal Holocaust. That's not great. I think the film was slightly more gruesome than that cartoon picture a child drew. Did I spit on your grave? That's probably on after this. We had the Driller Killer.
No. I've seen that on 60 Minute Makeover.
OK, it's time for the big fat question. OK. It's the final question of the show, your final chance to earn some points. I'm looking for three things, OK? I'm looking for the song that spent the longest at #1 in the 80s, the most bankable actor of the 80s, and the most watched live event of the 80s on British TV. So three things. It's UK viewing figures, and it's a live event, so it's not like an EastEnders or anything. OK, there are 2 points available for each, and a 2-point bonus if you get them all.
I know you can't give us any clues, but will we know the song?
Oh, you will so know the song, yeah.
OK.
All right, OK, pens down.
Oh, shit.
OK, so we're looking for the longest-running #1 of the 80s. What have you gone for, Sarah?
Why is it Sarah?
Hold on to your body.
Why not ask
Feel
the man who knew the answer to this? Jennifer Rush, The Power of Love.
That felt like it was #1 for fucking years.
It did.
Didn't it? Power of Love, Jennifer Rush.
Yeah.
I can tell you that is not correct.
Oh!
OK, what have you got, David, Phil?
We put No It's Christmas in the full knowledge that's probably wrong because everyone bought it in the first week.
Very, very good answer, but it's not right.
I know it's not.
And what have you got, Jason,
I
Jack?
think we might have the wrong decade. Is it everything I do?
No, that is the wrong decade. I mean, it was longer as a #1, but in a different decade.
Can I come back for the quiz for that decade?
Yeah, you can definitely come back next week. Come back next
Yeah.
week and you've got that. Okay. So no one gets anything on that. The correct answer was it was Two Tribes by Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Oh.
#1 for 9 weeks. There they are. And interestingly, top right was the guy from the Accrington Stanley advert. Grew up enjoying that band. OK. Most bankable actor. What did you put? Jason, Jack?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Good guess.
Not right.
He was #2.
Was he?
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got to be Tom Cruise, doesn't it?
For the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
the 80s.
He's #5 in the 80s.
Really?
#1.
Harrison Ford.
Absolutely right. Did the Star Wars films and he had Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah, right, the Lost Star.
OK, and we're looking for the most watched live event
Oh, we think we've got this.
in the UK of the 80s. OK, most watched live event. What have you
It
got?
was 1987, Lakeside, the Darts.
That is the correct answer. Good night. No. What have you got?
What have we got? What fucking hell do you think we
Live Aid.
Live Aid.
OK.
It's got to be Live Aid,
Has,
surely.
yeah.
We thought Live Aid and then we panicked and put Diana Wedding.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you that the most watched live event of the 80s in the UK, with an incredible 21.7 million people watching, was the Royal Wedding.
Yeah!
Well, that is your lot. It's time to tot up the scores at home. There are a possible 40 points to be earned this evening. Before I give the results, no one leaves the Big Fat Quiz empty-handed. You all win one of these. It's a tankard, a bendy bully and some darts. Fabulous. Here's how you did this evening. In last place, predictably enough, Jason Donovan and Jack D with 19 points. In second place, just 1 point ahead, Sarah Greene and Alan Carr, 20 points. But the undisputed 80s champions, David Mitchell and Phil Jupitus, with 30 points. Come over here and collect your prize. You've won the Well, that's it. A big thank you to our amazing panel, all our special guests, and thank you for watching at home. This has been the Big Fat Quiz of the 80s. Good night.